The human mind has always been creative when it comes to terrible and brutal ways of torture. Creepy inhumane punishment were saved for alleged transgressors, witches, and anyone who was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Here's 5 cruel and creepy types of torture used by older generations. Make sure to watch till the end. Drawing and quartering is one of the most infamous methods of cruel and unusual punishment. It's still difficult to believe it's an actual thing that was done by actual humans and happened to actual souls. The punishment was first used in England in the 13th century. The alleged villain was tied to a horse and dragged to the gallows and then hanged, disemboweled, or beheaded. Afterward, the condemned was quartered, which means they had his body split in quarters, sometimes by tying each limb to a different horse and having them run in opposite directions. This punishment was reserved for those guilty of treason. Later in 1867, luckily for the modern world, the punishment got revoked. Let's move to the next method, Judas cradle, which even more disturbing. The punishment starts by sitting the victim on a pyramid-shaped cradle to then be forced down by ropes with the intention of stretching the victim's orifice over a long period of time. The victim gets usually undressed and the device isn't the cleanest as you may assume, meaning, if the torture doesn't kill the victim, the infection contracted from it definitely would, which make us wonder how inhumane can humans get. Next technique inspired Saw's franchise. In one of its scenes, a detective got attached to a device that pulled her chest's flesh, causing blood loss and eventually death. Apparently this wasn't John's creation. This method was used way before movies were a thing. It was specifically designed for women. The device would be placed on the exposed chest. As its spikes penetrates beneath the skin, it would then be pulled, causing large chunks of flesh to come off. The device is also known as the Iron Spider. Ready for more gore? Well, this next one is for you and is also related to Saw in its literal meaning. The Saw torture is considered one of the bloodiest of them all. The victims are usually hung upside down so that the blood rush to their heads and to ensure that they stay conscious during the whole torture procedure. Cruel, right? The torturer would then cut the victim's body in half. Most were sawed only up to their abdomen to prolong the pain. Finally comes the rack, the technique that was designed to dislocate every joint of the victim's body. The rack was made out of a wooden frame with 2 ropes tied into the handle on top and the other 2 tied to the bottom. The victim would be placed and tied on top of the rack. Once that's done, the torturer would then start to turn the handle. The victim would be stretched until eventually, his limbs get dislocated. To ensure the limbs were indeed dislocated, the torturer would continue to turn the wheel until they were completely torn off the body. What do you guys think of these inhumane acts? Do criminals really deserve such a torture? Do you think that the world came a long way in terms of human rights? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching and subscribe to see more from the channel.